The Neepawa Chamber of Commerce meeting on March 26, 2025 was an informative session on immigration and workforce development by the Brandon Economic Development Office. The session focused on exploring how the program could benefit local businesses in Neepawa, especially given the success of similar initiatives in Brandon, like the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. The said program allowed Brandon to hire workers from outside Canada, and it had a 48% success rate in attracting workers internationally, with the remaining 52% being from within Canada. This pilot program was considered successful and helped businesses in Brandon retain workers who were here on temporary status. Many of those workers also decided to stay in the community long term. Marilyn Crew, the Neepawa Economic Development Officer, highlighted the importance of gauging interest from local businesses. If there's an interest, steps would need to be taken to set up the program, including securing necessary funding. The goal of the session was to determine if local businesses in Neepawa recognize a need for such a program in the area.
Tonight, my name is Marilyn. I'm Economic Development Officer here in Neepawa, and I'm very pleased to have you come out for this meeting about the Provincial Nominee Program. It is my pleasure to introduce Samuel, and he sent words, so I'm going to read them. Samuel Solomon is an Immigration and Workforce Development Specialist with the Brandon Economic Development Department. He is an experienced program coordinator with demonstrated history of working with newcomer, refugees, and immigrants. Samuel is a dedicated, multilingual, quadrilingual professional skilled in economic development, employment support, client services, foreign languages, time management, administrative assistance, and events planning. Thanks for coming, Samuel.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry.
Thank you for having us and thank you for showing up. Today we'll talk about a relationship which is part of an ongoing program that we'll discuss in detail. This is our first presentation outside of Brandon. If you have questions that we can't answer immediately, we will get back to you on them. But before we start, we would like to make a blanket acknowledgement, especially for City of Brandon, where we operate. The City of Brandon is located on Treaty 2, the land of the unceded territory of Dakota, and the homeland of the Regular Sea. We respect the spirit and the intent of those treaties and the treaty making, and we remain committed to working partnerships with the First Nation and the Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. We had a small introduction here, but I will go a little bit more about our team. So in Brandon, we are a team of 4 at the economic development. John Carter, Director of Economic Development. Some of you know him. He's in the industry for over 10 years, or 15 years, I guess now. They're there at the back. She has a lot of experience in economic development. Have been with Fatima for over 12 years. So a lot of experience here. John Anderson is a little bit camera shy, but we don't have his picture. He's our business development specialist, so helping businesses establish long-term plans in Ghana. A little bit about me, my name is Samuel Solomon, Immigration and Workforce Development Specialist. Our agenda today is we look a little bit about the background of the program, why we even have the program to begin with. Who can benefit from it at this point or in the future as we expand the program. The process is criteria and kind of a summary of it. We will have a lot of time for questions at the end. But if you have a question that you would like to ask immediately, feel free, you can text them. So in 2019, the federal government offered communities throughout Canada what we call the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. In that program, Brandon participated. It was a pilot program. We just wanted to see whether it's going to work or not. It provided employers in Brandon the opportunity to hire from abroad or to retain people who are here on temporary status to gain permanent residency. The program ran for 5 years. Of course, we had COVID in between, so it was extended a little bit. We were able to issue 474 community recommendations. Essentially, Brandon saying we want those people to be in our community. And then the federal government will get to decide whether they actually stay or not. 48% of them were from outside of Canada, 52 were from inside of Canada. So think about international students. We have Brandon University, Assuming College, and so on. People graduating, getting a job, staying in our community. It was a success. People stayed. We were able to hire different positions in the health service sector, very hard to fill positions from outside of Canada, in the science sector as well. So we see it as a benefit. In the hospitality, we were able to help people maintain their employees and even hire from outside of Canada, especially when you get a job that is night shift or up the hill, far away from transportation, that someone here might not be able to work there, and so on. Our employers also share the same sentiment. We will hear a little bit from them as well.
My name is David Rockley. I'm co-owner of Six Star Construction, a construction company in Brandon.
Clarissa Kaminko, Prairie Mountain Health, in Human Resources Recruitment, Manager Recruitment.
My name is Abdullah Saleh. I'm the pharmacy manager and the owner of MedSafe Pharmacy.
My experience has been great with our NIP. It was really hard to find skilled guys or somebody willing to learn and gain experience. People that come through the program have been very energetic and willing to learn for the most part.
Before our NIP program, I struggled to find any worker. So I tried several times. I couldn't find a stable worker. So finally I did the program, and the program was very helpful. And through this program, I was able to stay worker.
So my experience, overall experience with the RNIP program was really, really good. Our organization felt that it was quite a benefit in helping some of our employees expedite the process in obtaining their permanent residency. And it has really filled a void for our organization in filling vacancies, being able to offer individuals an opportunity to stay and work and be in the community in which they reside. So,
Brian's been with us for almost getting close to a year now, and he's a great example of why this program is so good. He works really hard. Always willing to learn, always answering calls, whether it's 2 in the morning for emergency service, he's always there and ready to work.
The candidates who came through this program, they were skilled, their English was very good, they were able to integrate into our pharmacies team, they are able to integrate into the community, and they were able to settle in the community with all their family, and they are loved by our staff and our customer as well.
many of the applicants were that went through the RNIP program with our organizations were already in our communities and working, and so I think they had integrated slightly already into the community, and so I feel like they, as an organization, we more so focused and we ensured that they were settled into our workforce because they had already sort of integrated into their community.
Only advice I have for someone looking into this organization is definitely go for it. There's nothing you can lose. Especially when you need employees, this is a great avenue to find.
Some advice I'd offer to other organizations, of course, is to take advantage of the program that is available or immigration programs that are available through the city or communities. It does definitely assist with expediting processes. The staff are excellent in helping you, determine what all the requirements are, making sure you're on task. I know I sometimes struggle with keeping up with, what was the next step, but I easily sent questions and they were answered quickly. And the process was just laid out so clearly, and there was no concerns. It was just really a simple, process, and it just made things really easily. So I would highly recommend organizations take advantage if they can.
Yes. But my advice to all the organizations here to benefit from this program. So it's a very helpful program, and through this program you can get a very skilled foreign worker and stable worker you can get into this program. And I will recommend it to all the organizations.
So this is what our employers told us in the audit pilot. The pilot was successful, was from our side and the employers. So we decided to try to bring another pathway for our employers in Brandon. To understand this, we will speak a little bit about immigration in general in Canada. So in Canada, immigration is a federal power. It's shared with our provinces as well. It's run by the Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, the Ministry of Immigration. Under the Ministry of Immigration, they have a couple of permanent residency categories. So family would be someone sponsoring their spouse, children, and so on. Refugees would be people fleeing persecution. Economic is where we are focused, people who are needed for our economy. And one of them was the Army program that we just saw together. And then we also have what we call the Express Entry. So Express Entry is another program under the economic category. In the Express Entry, Manitoba is the first province to sign a memorandum of understanding with the federal government to be able to access the Express Entry program. Under the provincial nominee program, we have the Brandon Initiative, where we partner with the province, and then if there is an employee or a foreign worker that is endorsed by Brandon, they will be expedited by the province. And if the province agrees that they are a good fit for Brandon or for Manitoba, they will be nominated with the federal government, and the federal government will make the final decision on approving them to stay or to come to the country. Under the initiative, this is where we'll be focusing today. Under the Brandon Initiative, we have an entrepreneurship stream and a skilled worker stream. For the entrepreneurship stream, think about it of a way to bring entrepreneurs to Canada. Maybe you are a business owner who want to retire. You don't find anyone who would like to get your business, right? So as part of a succession plan, you can sell the business to a foreign investor. That foreign investor will be able to come to Canada, get permanent residency, create jobs for the community. Skilled worker is where you have a business, you want to hire people. For an employer to be able to hire through the program, they need to be an eligible business. When we say eligible, they need to have legal presence in the community. Here it says Brandon because the program is still confined to Brandon. In the future, when we expand it, hopefully, to Neepawa, then we will also include the other language. So the business has to be in business for at least 3 years. If it's a new business, they need to invest a capital investment and need to show us that they are able to sustain themselves for the long term. It allows employers to hire from outside of Canada or to just help those who are already here in getting permanent residency. Some of the advantages of this initiative is that there is no alumni post. Whenever you hire from through a temporary foreign worker pathway, Typically, you are required to pay $1,000 per employee to get them a temporary work permit. And it doesn't get them permanent residency. They just come here, stay for 3 years. If they are able to convert to permanent residence, then they will stay. If not, they have to leave the country. For this pathway initiative, there is no LMI fee, there is no expense on that. Timelines are shorter, so once someone is endorsed, the province will put them under the strategic initiative pathway. And if they agree with the decision of the community, the province will nominate. There is no age restriction per se, or control for region, but we always recommend employers to hire from diverse countries for the diversity of it. An applicant will be eligible to get closed work permit under the pathway, and also receive permanent residency in some stage. We will talk more about that in the next slides. Immediate family members will also be eligible to come to Canada. So for immigration, immediate family members means spouses, children under 22 who are unmarried and live with the family. So the whole family will get permanent residency. And the spouse will also be eligible for an open work permit in the community. An applicant or a foreign workers process looks like this. So let's look at step at a time. The first step for a foreign worker is to get a community endorsement. That would be with those requirements. They would need a full-time job offer that cannot be filled locally. So the job has to be hard to fill, that there is no Canadian or permanent resident or someone in Canada who's able to get the job, to fill the job. Or they need to have strong job perspective. So imagine that could be someone from the UK, a physician. They already have their license to practice here. Even if they don't have a job offer, they will still be able to use the program. Work experience, 2 years within the last 5 years of relevant work experience. So if you are hiring a mechanic, they need to have 2 years within the last 5 years. Education, it depends on the job. So some jobs require a minimum high school degree, some require diploma and so on. So they will need that education depending on the job. If they study outside of Canada, they need to provide an assessment showing that they actually need to complete the steps. So there is a whole process of verification for the education. Language, applicant need to be able to speak English or French. The level of the language required depends on the job. So entry-level jobs could be what we call CLB4, Canadian Language Benchmark 4. So someone who's able to make simple conversations. The higher the job, the more language is required. Settlement fund, the applicant need to have at least $10,000 for themselves, plus $2,000 per dependent applicant. And that's very minimum, but if, of course, it's the idea that they will be able to come, either get a job quickly or they already have a job. Community endorsement, that's what the communities do. If we like someone, we want them to stay, or we want someone to come to us, then we issue them an endorsement letter. The program currently, as of now, is mainly for Brandon and for businesses within 55-kilometer radius. As of now, employers need to have a working business in Brandon, and then if they have a second branch outside, they can use that second branch as well. If we expand the program to Neepawa, businesses who don't necessarily have an office or presence in Brandon would also be able to use the program.
If I'll just jump in really quickly on the community endorsement. There is a group, a committee that evaluates people currently that's at the grant. If Neepawa decides to join into this partnership, then we would invite someone from the community to be part of that committee. So it wouldn't be Brandon only evaluating the community, someone from Neepawa. We want you to participate in that as well. I hope you don't cover that later, because
So once an applicant is endorsed, we give them the decision, and then if the province agrees with our decision, they will send them an invitation to apply. to send the document to the province, to the provincial government. So the document would also include the language, indication, so second eye of the same document that we already reviewed in the first step. Everything goes well, the applicant gets a nomination from the province. Then they go with the IRCC, the federal government, they apply for permanent residency. Or they apply for the express entry, and then they get drawn from the express entry and apply for permanent residency to be accurate. After they apply for the permanent residency, they are also eligible for an optional work permit. So let's say they are here, the work permit is expiring in a couple of months. If they get approved, they apply for the permanent residency, then they become eligible to apply for the work permit. Work permits are usually processed faster than someone getting a permanent residency. So it will be a bridge so they can stay here legally until they get the permanent residency. So that's from an applicant, from a foreign worker perspective. They need to have a job offer here in a job that is hard to fill, that is permanent, full-time. From an employer point of view, the process is also simple. We can divide it into 4 folds. First one being simply just confirming that as a business you are eligible. So here again it says Brandon. Once hopefully we get the program running, we also say Neepawa. The business has to be operating for minimum 3 years. The position has to be full-time, permanent, and there is nobody in the community that is able to do the job. Then it's a very simple application forms to fill out. There is no application fee, just paperwork to do. And then you select your candidate. Your candidate could be in Canada, could be outside of Manitoba, but within Canada, as long as they are willing to move before they start the application. If they are outside of Canada, then that's also fine, but we just need to be able to do that. And then they apply for the community recommendation, where we have a member from Neepawa to be able to vote on whether to approve them or not. For the community recommendation, the goal is for the people to come and stay. So if someone doesn't have the intention of staying, they wouldn't be approved. So that's part of also as an employer to look for people who would like to stay in the community. And then once someone is approved, they get the PR, they're ready to come. You simply just pick them up from the airport. And then you're also responsible to provide them with at least 1 hour of support per month for 12 months at the work. So that could be getting them a SIN number, taking them to the bank to open their bank account. So very simple support, but it makes them feel welcome and hopefully allows them to integrate in the community and stay. If someone decides to resign or you decide to let them go for whatever reason, you can do that. You just need to let our office know. And if they resign before getting permanent residency, then their application will become invalid, and then they will lose the endorsement, and consequently might lose the permanent residency. That is if they haven't received it already. If someone has received it, then it doesn't matter.
Samuel,
Yes.
how do they prove the position is hard to fill?
So that would be upon our research. For example, we will work with the Neepawa Economic Development to see that the job historically has been hard to fill. For example, we know that mechanics are historically hard to fill in Brandon. So some positions are obvious. Some of them we need to do a market labor assessment within our office to determine whether the position is actually hard to fill or not. Of course, if someone is claiming to be just because they want to hire someone from abroad, we call that employment for convenience. It's illegal, and we will not approve an employer who will do that.
I think there'd be an expectation that the EDO in the office within the communities that we're looking to has a pretty good understanding of what the true demand is in their market.
Yeah, and work with the employment center that shows that they've been posting this position ongoing.
Yeah.
And
That's actually, and I think Sam will get to it, is posting the job online and on the, what's it called, kind of jobs is, that's all part of it. But in this case, your opinion is different than Brent, and your needs may be all different than what we need. So that's absolutely open to local.
Exactly. And of course, it's not just someone posting the job, not claiming that nobody is applying. We actually verify that there is nobody who's able to do the job here before approving them to hire from abroad. Just touched a little bit on it. So the employers will be requested to demonstrate, especially for positions that are not that are entry-level positions. An employer will be requested to demonstrate that there is nobody in the community who's able to do the job, right? And then for picking employees from outside of Canada, you have a couple of options. You can hire friends of employees. Let's say you have someone from Ukraine. They have friends who might benefit your business. Then you could get them through that connection. Any way that you get an employee from outside of Canada, then that's allowed. Right? If you are using an immigration consultant or an immigration recruiter, you just want to make sure that they have a license to recruit from abroad before you engage them. And then, so once you get your candidate, you provide them your regular job offer. This is a full-time permanent job. This is how much it's paying. The job has to be full-time permanent, and the wage has to be within the range in the area. So we can't underpay them. Of course, we can overpay them if you wish, but we can't underpay for a worker. And then we just provide them documentation and support to get a work permit if they need one. Again, this is optional. If they need a work permit, you are looking at an expense, a very minimum expense of $230 fee payable to the federal government per applicant to get a work permit. Some of the responsibilities include, as for employers, would include picking up the applicant or just arranging transportation to Brandon, to Neepawa in this case. Match the applicant with a mentor at the workplace. Keep our office updated of their progress, because we also track retention. Employers with low retention of foreign workers might not be able to use the program in the future. And of course, if you are using an immigration consultant, you need to let our office know. Expenses-wise, there is no application fee to apply. There is no labor market assessment. We are not responsible for the travel cost of the foreign worker if they are coming from outside of Canada, or the settlement cost. They need to have their own money. You can help them find a house. If you are used as an incentive, you can cover the expense, but you are not expected to do so. Only fee would be to pick them up from the airport. This one is what we call the compliance fee, the $230 optional fee if they need a work permit. Some of the criteria is that we pre-screen all employers to ensure that they're using the program where it's supposed to be. The applicant also need to have intention to stay in the community. So you will notice that some candidates might just want to use the community to get permanent residency and move away after. We don't want that either, so we screen applicants when they apply. And of course, we also ask employers to help us. If you see them talking more about another city, then that may be a red flag. They will get permanent residency and move after. An applicant who has higher language, more than the minimum required, gets prioritized because they have more chance of socializing and being able to stay. If they are familiar with the area, let's say they're already here, then they also get more consideration. If they have family or friends in the community, they also get more consideration. If they are employable or their spouses are also employable, then they also get more consideration. So the initiative is pretty new. We started in November of last year, and we started our first applications just in January. It's going to be running for the next 3 years. It's a renewable partnership with the province, so we expect it to be stable and to continue. Once we receive an application, our office, once we receive an application, we process them within 30 to 60 days maximum. It could be shorter, but yeah, that's the maximum process one. If an applicant is approved by us, they go to the provincial government, and then once they are approved, it could take anywhere from, for the provincial level, it could take anywhere from 1 month to 7 to 6 months, depending on how busy they are with working. So that's an applicant is approved. They apply for permanent residency and work permit if they need one. They receive typically a permanent residency within 1 year. It could be shorter, it could be longer, depending on the country of origin as well. In summary, as an employer, those are the steps that you're looking at. First, get approved as an employer, get a position approved, select your candidate and get them to be approved in the community. The candidate applies with the province nominates them. The candidate applies for permanent residency and temporary work permit with the federal government. They get it approved, and then they will be able to come. Okay, so that's kind of it in a summary. And we can take questions now. Yes.
If someone's applying and their spouse or dependents were able to come over, if they get approved for permanent residency, do their spouse as well?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the whole family,
Okay.
spouses, common law, people, children under 22 are married, living with the parents, all of them get permanent residency.
Okay.
The province has given us 150 spots annually. So there's enough to go around for sure. We'd like to bring a couple of communities on board from within the region, so it's not really short on positions for things.
And if we were to have people working with us that have like temporary SIN numbers or temporary residency, like you can use this program even though we've already hired them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. It helps to recruit or to retain those who
everything.
yeah.
Okay.
What we noticed is that having this program in Brandon had put Brandon in the spotlight, nationally and even internationally. People who have never heard about Brandon, they now know where Brandon is. People are considering to move to Brandon because of the program. And of course to stay there. So yeah, it's been great. It's been great to attract people, even if they don't really need, maybe the employee is not working for your company, but their spouse might be working for you, right? So it gets people to come to your company. Yes.
This, we're just a new business and we're just starting, and you said that the program will run for 2 years, right?
Correct.
And for us to be able to be qualified, we need 150 capital fixed asset. Is there any other exemption?
We can see it one by one case, but typically that's the requirement. And the 3 years are renewable partnership, so within the next 3 years we will renew it again. So it will be 3 for
And and you said that positions hard to fill. Do you have any like list of those positions?
We do have a list, but the list is for Brandon. And of course, we don't want to generalize it here with Neepawa.
So it really depends on the business.
Depends on the
companies.
community. In the community.
Yeah.
So if we are able to expand this program here, we will have discussions on which positions, which sector we would like to support, which ones we want to prioritize, and then we take it from there.
Sorry.
No.
And if you have any positions that are, can you recruit someone?
From outside of the country.
No, I mean, you can recruit someone from us instead of us looking. Or does it have to be us looking?
Good question. So we don't do recruiting,
Oh.
but there's a couple of agencies that we can connect you with you.
Oh,
That they will be able to support you getting employees. The Canada Job Bank is also a great option. If you post a job and you have an option to say open to foreign workers or people outside of Canada, then people are interested to come here, they will see your position, they will apply to you.
okay, thank you.
In your timeline, how soon Neepawa will be getting this program?
Yes.
So there are steps that Neepawa needs to do from the conversation that started this meeting. Gerald and I have talked. So the town of Neepawa, funding is required from the town for us to participate in this program. Commitment to sit on the committee to review applications, and I don't know whether there's any of the process. Obviously, we need to figure out what jobs are hard to fill in Neepawa, which I assume would also come from this side. So for me, in economic development, I'm not going to jump into all of that if no one would use the program. So that's why this meeting is the first one, to find out whether this is something that local employers would actually use. And then that would give me enough information to start moving forward with the process. So that's not an answer,
Yeah.
but I needed this meeting first, and then we would need to decide. So
Kind of gets everybody thinking.
well, yeah,
their own
because
business, right?
because I saw like the first step is the employer approval step. So after this meeting, are you rushing to work tomorrow to fill out whatever, I don't know what the form is for employer approval, but are you like looking that up right away? Or, maybe you need to think for 6 months, maybe you need to post your job a little bit more before you're ready to start this process, which would then give me time to figure out what I'm doing. But yes, so this was step one, just to see. If no one came to this meeting, I could go do something else. But now that you have this information, you need to decide if this actually fits with your workplace. And if it's something that you would use, then Neepawa would figure out how to be a part of this and expand that past the 55 kilometers outside land.
I guess someone who's like done the LMI process in the old provincial nominee program, this is amazing to hear that there's this kind of support available when you're looking at those mountains of paperwork and going, what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like this sounds like something that we could definitely use here.
And I'm happy to hear that. Another thing that we can also take into perspective, on a national level, immigration is set by the federal government. So they have the numbers. If you have a foreign worker, if you currently have a foreign worker, that foreign worker will be competing on a national level to become permanent resident. And then on a provincial level, we have a provincial cap, currently of 4,500 spots. So if you have an employee, they are competing with people in New York. They are competing with people elsewhere, right? To get a way to stay here in Canada. If we have this initiative in Neepawa, they will only be competing with people in Neepawa, right? So offering another way for people to stay or to come. Yes.
So our business also has locations in Gladstone. So if it came to Neepawa, would Gladstone also count as like the 55-kilometer radius from here, or?
Will be part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Because we currently just have in London, and this is just to gauge your interest. Are you interested to have it? And if Gladstone is a very kind of short, you have labor demand, then you can also have this part of the discussion. One aspect we want to also focus on is that the people coming need to have what we call settlement support. So in Brandon, we have the Westland Migrant Services. In here, I also believe you have a settlement agency.
We Neepawa settlement.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that there's settlement service nearby where they're going to go.
The intent would be to go by within the municipalities, so if in the case of Gladstone, that would be the same conversation with them as if someone else, so they want to be part of this. Is there enough interest to do so?
So your connection would just be with the town of Neepawa then? if you
That's
were to
my
make it-
inclination, yeah.
Okay.
Because we are putting, there's a certain onus on yourself to do some of the groundwork, to do some paperwork, councils will make a financial commitment.
So if our business hires someone for one of our classroom locations, that they're a separate kind of thing, right?
The something we.
It's kind of like the brand and location, your business is branded, but you have a branch in each of those, that would still apply, right?
For the brand and for the current model, that's how we have it. As we expand the program, because municipalities will be financial contributors as well, we will be focusing on the municipality that is part of the program. But for the branded one, if you have a business in Brandon and you have a second big branch outside, that second one also.
And somebody like Mazer House Market, they've got facilities in a number of communities, 13 or 14 on that around. So they would fall in that pocket because of education.
But, so this is Neepawa Gladstone Co-op. So there is no separate co-op for Gladstone, it's the whole area. So like their administration is here,
So then it would be here.
their administration office is here.
Yeah, all of our hiring and everything is done by us.
So it's just a, it's one of those rural tricky ones, but.
Yeah.
That's almost a let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. We'll fight that way,
It's a good point when you talk about the co-op, thank you, so it's, there's a different.
It's not like a, it's not a satellite office, it's one.
Right.
Gotcha.
What else are we supposed to ask? What has no one asked?
International students graduating from some college, EU, University, wherever you may have connections, are great places to recruit people. That's certainly something to look at. People are out here. People have family here. That's one of the questions in that community connectivity is, do you have family already? Yes. Okay. Awesome. That's just another support, right? Yeah, support.
And a reason to stay.
Yes. Yes. Trying to think what else you've asked along the way.
Some of the questions for housing sometimes comes up. So for people who are already here, they're already in the housing continuum, they're not taking new houses. For people who are coming from outside of Canada, they don't come at the same day that we approve them. It takes a year or so on. So the approach is staggered. So you will not see an influx of 50 people coming at the same day. Okay. So just wanted to it's very staggered. People from certain countries will have faster processing because we have agreement with their countries. Some of them will take longer and so on.
Yeah, certainly right now housing would be a challenge. We have a large influx of new cars. So a year timeline sounds good to me.
Well, they do trail, like the rural community immigration program was a 5-year pilot, and then last August. We still have people in that stream who have not yet arrived.
Oh.
But they've approved.
Right.
So they're still on the way. So it was, you didn't have to be here by the end of August. They had to be in the queue for the end of August. So the same thing, if we go out 3 years, and the province decides not to extend the program, then there's still going to be people you have in the queue could still be coming along 6 months, 8 months later.
Yeah, they're not cut off because the program is, if they're already approved, but already. But that's not gonna happen.
The province has a long track record of the provincial housing program. There's 4 or 5 community partnerships like this often. Morgan, ourselves, Russell, is that somebody? Russell has one. That's 4. I think there's one more of those community partnerships. So that's both from the senior bureaucratic level and from the minister. They see this program as being very effective over the long run. Historically, it's been good. So unless something changes at the federal level, I don't think the province is going to change. And even federally, we're talking about skilled workers coming and in-demand jobs. We're not talking about, again, some of the immigration challenges that we've had in the past year are not really related to this program.
Right.
That's, to me, I've got a little more positive view on the long term of this program federally, even if there's change in government, because we are recruiting skilled trades, we're recruiting medical staff, we're recruiting all sorts of people that are in demand and who have good connections to community.
Yeah, even though the discussion about, well, and the reduction in immigration numbers, this program is still running for the next few years in spite of those cutbacks.
So if somebody's approved for this program, they stay with the business, they get their PR, then they leave. What is keeping them at your place of business after we get the from residency?
We try the deterrent, not the consequence approach. Try to get people who have genuine intention to stay. They might have a genuine intention at the beginning, then they change their mind after. That happens. Anyone who's permanent resident, they have the right of mobility. We cannot ask them to stay, so they kick them.
You try to make them feel welcome and at home, but
They bought a house by then.
Give them mortgage.
Yeah. It's really about getting them into the community in that time, right?
Yeah.
And if you have a good employer and a welcoming community, then you have a pretty good chance of it all working out. We've had a lot of success in Brandon, and Brandon's quite big, but through the RNET program, we have a very high rate of people that are still in their jobs with the companies that they started with in the program and that have their PR and have bought houses and, you know, all sorts of things, so.
There's been success here in Neepawa.
Yes.
Pretty much. People have said, well, that's where your housing from.
Yeah.
But not everyone is coming here, working for Highlight for 6 months and leaving. They've stayed and bought business, started businesses.
Yeah, built a
bought
life
homes,
here and
built a new school because.
raising their families.
Right. So that's really the positive outcome. And sure, there were people that came and left. Okay, but what we're trying to do.
They want to come back.
We want to come back, yeah. So that's what that's the piece we're looking for there is, and you've got a track record of growing the community from an international perspective. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so now next steps, I need to talk to you, and you talk in front of them. So next, I don't know, I mean, if 2 out of the 4 businesses represented here are interested in this program, or if none, or all, what is the next steps for us?
I would suggest you talk to Prenatal Health as well.
Okay.
Your local clinics, for doctors and physicians. So that would be low-hanging fruit in the medical community for sure.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, like, if you're aware of some of your businesses that you think would benefit that maybe couldn't be here tonight, you know, have the discussion with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, trades is something we see in Brandon a fair bit. Engineering technologists were identified in Brandon.
Yeah, so-
Automotive and heavy duty technicians would certainly be applicable here, I expect.
Well, that's what I kind of need to understand, what your parameters are to be considered a hard to fill, but
That's a local
Right.
piece, so.
but I don't know how you determine that, but we can talk about that.
Really just keeping connections with our businesses in Brandon, talking to them to see what their challenges are. We also monitor the job market, like we look to see what jobs are advertised over and over again, right? To get a feel for that as well. So there's a variety of different ways to figure out what those jobs are to your community, and the best people to tell you that is your businesses, because they know who they have had trouble with hiring and that. So.
And my employment office too.
For sure, yeah.
They would see the ones that are coming back home and
Yeah.
Chamber may be able to do a survey for you. And word of mouth. We don't need to find 100 achievable goals, I guess. So, you know, what the jobs are, council's piece, and Marilyn's talking about financial contribution. We've asked any of the RMs that are going to participate in this to contribute partially to Seminol's salary. And that's really just, from my council's perspective, we're really happy. They're happy for us to engage. They'd like to see a little bit come back just to offset his salary.
That makes sense. So then you have, I also need whatever that wording is for council approval. I'll need some sort of information
Okay.
to be able to.
You like lots of whereases in your council motion?
I don't need you to write the motion, I just need council-facing information so that they understand why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes, okay. Certainly that. Yeah, and again, if you're on the website looking at information, it is all very brand-centric at this point in time. That will change over time.
So,
Offset meeting once a month or twice a month?
Once a month.
Once a month.
So our committee, the one that make the decision, it's a volunteer committee from business people, different sectors. Of course, someone in the committee cannot vote on an application for their business, of course. But yeah, they meet once a month currently. If there's a need, then we can increase that.
So we don't actually
Just have
make
like a basic information sheet for you guys if you want to take one with you as well.
So the three of us don't actually make the decision. That is the committee's responsibility. So we'll make a recommendation, and the committee reviews it, and it says yes or no. That's the goal. So it'd be important for you to be there, particularly for talking about something that's coming.
maybe like chamber or rep or something. Okay, so having heard what you've heard, is this something you think might fit for your business? Maybe, yes, yes. Not yet. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for the invitation, the hospitality,
Thanks for coming to Neepawa.
and your time. The time is valuable for everyone, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
That's,
Thank you. This is good. Thanks.